All right, idiots.
All right, idiots. Hey, there we go.
How are we
Hello.
all doing? We're back again. We've had a little break, a little week break while we reconvene, but we're back with another episode for you.
Tom's in bed.
We're joined
How
with
are we doing,
some
good?
very special guests this week,
Extreme,
transatlantic guests.
Hmm.
You're and Josh,
extremely
or what?
special. Is it? No, I should have asked you this in the 10 minutes chat we've just done. But is it Ettingermentum or Ettingermentum? I don't
Ettingermentum.
see. I've been seeing. I've been used. Well, luckily, I'm going to be calling you Josh because I can't be
Yes,
bothered
you
saying
will.
that
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
But Rue McGuire, Twitch streamer extraordinaire,
Yes,
Atlantis power
exactly.
couple, by the way.
Oh,
The,
Hmm.
thank you so much.
I came up with I was trying to do it's very white boy sort of humour. The best
Hmm.
power couple since Atlanta's power couple since Ludacris, and then I was getting stuck. So
Yeah.
that's about it.
Right. It teeters
But,
off after Ludacris.
yeah. Right, Kanye, but then no, well, ooh. Yeah.
We got
But
Usher.
yes, anyway, Ettingermentum. There we
Mhm.
go. I'm Mr. on the old Substack.
Mrs. Ettingermentum.
And yeah, Mr. McGuire.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. But yes, so American politics. That's fun, isn't it?
Mhm.
So we've got well, as we were saying before, it's the greatest time in American history. We're not winning
Yes.
as much as you are, and obviously I thought we'd do a little bit of because rarely, I think, in over here, this side of the pond, you get to hear about sort of what because America still seems to me to be very like well, your job's tied to your healthcare, which is mental.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
like wages seem to be a lot higher, but you get but then obviously, well, you have to pay 10 grand if you break your toe or something.
Mhm.
So,
You
yeah.
can't even. You have to pay for going in the ambulance.
Oh yeah, 9 grand
It's
in
like
the ambulance.
DoorDash. They make you DoorDash yourself to the hospital. It's insane.
So that was yeah.
You have to leave a tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Treat right because you need to be hospitalized.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
They
yeah.
have
That's
the ambulance drivers delivering Postmates. It's crazy. No, I'm just lying about that. But you believed it. You believed it, and that's
Yes.
called artistic
That's
political.
called the golden age.
Yeah, that's called it's representational,
Oh, there we go.
folks.
Well, we were saying obviously, but I think that's quite a good one to start on. As we were saying backstage, you know, but yeah, about the putting off. You've put. I hope this isn't. I won't say this if you don't want me to say this. But put a offer on a house. First people under 30 ever to own a house in America.
Yeah,
Since Ronald Reagan.
yeah,
So obviously, and you said you're against BlackRock.
yeah.
Is it?
We're fighting against BlackRock in real time. We're living the modern American dream.
Yeah, it's a John Henry.
We have to do astral. We're astral projecting like spiritual warfare against Warren Buffett, so we can buy a house. This is what you have to do in this country because we had Harry Truman instead of Clement Attlee, and now we have to like hire like a witch on SD to cast a hex on like BlackRock so we can own a home.
Well, that's yeah. I think Harry Truman's possibly the worst. I don't know. Would you say? Would you say
Facts. He
he's
was a
up there?
flop. He was a crazy flop. He's overrated. He sucked.
Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson. I'm not saying he's the worst. He
Oh
was
well,
just a
yeah. Oh
major
well, yeah.
flop.
Obviously, and yeah, genocide and that. Much
Yeah.
worse. Oh.
Well, Harry. Don't count Harry Truman out on that department. He put in work.
Yeah.
Korea.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Is there an American president who hasn't committed some form of genocide?
Well, William Henry Harrison died after a
I
month.
was gonna say that guy
Yeah.
who died before he got the chance.
Yeah.
Number
Actually, he
10.
committed genocide in his pre-presidential career.
Huh?
He was the guy who made who kicked all the Indians out of Indiana.
Oh, great.
So
Oh
yeah.
well. No.
But God struck him down before he could continue his craft.
Yeah, because of politics autisticness of mine.
Mhm.
I do remember that like he caught a cold because he did an inauguration speech that was too long. Did he?
Yes, yes.
Oh yeah.
This is like a very underrated turning point in American history, but I'm going to stop myself here because this is like This is like real, but it's like the most boring thing ever.
No, no.
Don't get me started on John Tyler, man. Don't get me started on John Tyler. That's the real sleeper vote. That's the real shit. If you want to understand why we have to like fight against BlackRock, it's because of that. We would have.
Domino effect.
It is, yes. If William Henry Harrison lived, America would have never gone to war with Mexico, and we would have just been like the East Coast and the Midwest.
We got to go back in time and cut off that speech.
Yes, we would have built all the canals. We would have become a producers' republic, and we would have proven Marx right by becoming socialist America. But instead, we had the Red Dead Redemption pressure valve, where all of the disaffected people could go out west, and that stopped them from becoming communists, and that's why we can't be socialist. And that's all because William Henry Harrison gave too long of a speech. That's crazy how history works like that.
So yeah, the butterfly effect, isn't it? But so on my first time of doing this for about 500 times, as I said, meant to bring my laptop, forgot. Never mind. So questions wise, I did have tipping culture on there actually for my bits of, because Tom mentioned that a minute ago. That's like, yeah, so like obviously job tied to healthcare, tipping culture, and staff on slave wages. Just totally alien to the rest of the world, even Canada. Yeah, Canada.
We have to pay the salaries of an entire class of people instead of the people who actually employ them.
Yeah.
It's just up to the public to make sure they don't starve and die. It's our courtesy.
It's so indicative of like capitalism, though, isn't it? Like the onus is on the other people of the same class to pay the working class.
Yeah.
The thing of like where you've got like you see it all the time on like like really sort of annoying lib tweets where they go they don't tip 60%. Well, hang on, only came in here for Dunkin' Donuts or whatever. Forced to pay a 90% surcharge.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely another, as Tom was saying, it's another way to pit the working class against each other. And I find that like kind of the worst people, the people who maybe are self-proclaimed right populists, like still refuse to tip anywhere above 15%.
Yeah. It's a subsidy for pieces of shit to get cheaper meals.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I was thinking this as well because obviously you were we talked before about the you two being the only people under 30 in America to be buying a house, and sort of Reagan and the fact every graph of America after Reagan goes like this.
Yeah.
And obviously with Trump, which we'll obviously get onto. How long do you think it can continue in its current form, sort of generally?
Until what?
Until we're just like,
bubble burst.
Yeah.
Clouds.
Well, I mean, like it seems like the current structure of it is that like it's either AI solves every single problem in the world, or like that's kind of how our economy is structured now. So we better hope. So it's all up to Grok. Grok fix my social system.
Unfortunately, we lost woke Grok.
Yeah, I know.
Not
that
woke
was a
anymore.
huge blow.
No.
We're gonna save woke Grok during the revolution. We're gonna free him from his prison.
I know you're in there.
Yeah.
So it's a very then we also lost extreme Nazi Grok as well, didn't we? Because they had to change it when it started being South African.
Hitler.
That was insane.
Yeah, no, he's just moderate Grok.
He's gone corporate.
Woke Grok was like the only good thing Elon Musk did, and then he had to change it.
Yeah. Grok fucking sold out in both ways. Makes me sad.
You can't satisfy everyone, or I guess you can if you're moderate Grok.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. So he's 23.
Yeah.
You're very young.
Yes. I was born after 9/11. I went to college during COVID.
No.
My whole life has been ended by crises. So
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, it's interesting.
yeah,
Maybe that's why Gen Z men, you guys are such a focused on demographic,
yeah, it is. Yeah,
at least in the States.
yeah.
But in terms of the bubble bursting, I met all that to say that I'm 28, so I lived through.
The best possible age, by the way.
Exactly. It's true. I mean, not to gas up 28-year-olds. I don't know.
We made it out of 20, so we made it past the 27 club. So we know the CIA can no longer get us.
Exactly. Now I can walk around with white lighters and I'm not afraid. We're good. But I was, generally conscious during the 2008 recession. And some more personal info, but like our house was almost, seized and stuff like that. So very familiar with that bubble. And I mean, I'm no economist by any stretch of the word at all. But I would imagine that it's not going to be tenable for much longer. I mean, I don't know. I'm not like an expert in the housing market in the United States, but at a certain point, like people they can't just keep renting forever.
That's what they want you to think. We're going to create an entirely renter economy where nobody has money to spend on anything except for rent. And that'll be very good for business.
Yes, you'll pay 80% of your income to rent and you will be happy.
Yeah, it's like in Ireland's worse than the Britain at the minute, but Britain's heading there as well. But like in Ireland, there's like I remember my dad was looking for something for some reason, for looking at houses, and
nice.
like to buy a house is relatively cheap if you're not in the middle of Dublin, basically. But to rent is like €2,500 a month, which is like 100% of the average salary, probably, if not more. So it's
That's insane.
How does this function?
Yeah.
No idea. Yeah, I was in Ireland in 2023 with my sister. We visited Dublin and we also went down.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously Dublin. But we also went down to like County Kerry, which is where my mom's family is from.
Yeah, your ancestral homeland of Sneem.
Yeah, Sneem, the fucking 400-person town. And like
the ancient Roos tended to their sheep for thousands of years. And they lived in Stardew Valley and hung out with fairies until the nefarious Albion came.
Hey, the fairies are real, man.
Oh, yeah, don't fuck with the fairies.
Yeah, don't fuck with the fairies, dude. You don't want that smoke.
There's places in Ireland. There's generally places like where there's random bends in motorways because they've intentionally avoided fairy thoughts and stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Why are you laughing?
I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at how wonderful of a fact that is that Ireland is a place with fairies, and I'm laughing out of sadness that we don't have fairies here, and they're just in Ireland.
Well,
makes me sad.
But so like but back to from fairies to the rental economy. Like with like I was going to think ask you this really specifically as well, in the sort of how long can it last thing as well, and obviously you're in a you've got Ossoff and Warnock, haven't you? But you're particularly red state anyway. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene anywhere, Nick, because she's somewhere in Georgia, isn't she?
No, she's actually from like the Atlanta area. She's from the Atlanta metro area. The story with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I know this because I lived in this area where she was trying to run. She was from like this one county, like in the northeast Atlanta suburbs, and tried to run for Congress there, then quit. Then she moved to another suburban congressional district, tried to run. And I know this because I lived in that district when I was in high school, and I saw like a sign for her, like whenever I drove to school. Because in America you drive to school.
That's really because that's a very American statement.
Yeah, when I drove my car to my school as a child, I passed by a Marjorie Taylor Greene for Congress sign, and this wasn't the district that she represents. She represents a very rural district, like in the like next to Alabama in the northwest of the state.
Yeah.
So she carpetbagged again to that district, and she won. So we're not in her district. She is like in the north. Like she's like in kind of a more rural part. A little bit of it stretches into the suburbs, but like most of it is very rural Georgia. Ossoff and Warnock represent the entire state, and they're like pretty like it's a decent Senate delegation, even like by standards of like states way more liberal than we are. But they both voted against arming Israel to some capacity recently.
Yeah, that's quite good. That's very rare, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I agree with basically how long can it continue, but also sort of for women's reproductive rights.
Yes.
Basically, was my question. Because
Yeah.
well, you can't afford a house, and then you have to have children at penalty of death.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's a salient issue at the state level here. We do have an open governor's race next year in Georgia. This is now a Georgia politics podcast episode.
Oh, it's not bad.
Kemp, our glorious emperor, like 65% approval ratings. Everybody loves him. He's like the first Republican to like have like positive approval ratings among black voters since fucking like the Civil War. Like he's very popular, but he chose not to run for Senate and he's term limited. And the Democratic Party here has been basically run as a paper organization for Stacey Abrams, the big this scam artist politician. And now that Abrams is she's lost a lot of clout, she may still run again. We do have a number of candidates running for the open seat here, but none of them are particularly like kind of high profile. The race hasn't really heated up yet. But it may be the one race we will hear a lot about Georgia the next year because of Ossoff's race. And I do believe that will get him a lot of attention. It could possibly be parlayed into a presidential run. That's my kind of vision board for it. But that's about what's going on in Georgia right now. The Republican people, there's like a contest between kind of a generic far-right Republican and a Stop the Steal guy. That'll be like the big war. And they
that's great. That's now generic.
Yeah.
And
exactly. For Senate, there's actually some big news today. The Republican field has winnowed down between basically a Twitter Nazi congressman who's supported by the MAGA people and Kemp's latest glup shitto, the son of a UGA coach from 50 years ago. So they're doing the football player thing once again.
This guy of Georgia.
Yeah, this guy didn't even teach at Georgia. He didn't coach at Georgia. He coached at fucking Tennessee. So they're kind of scraping at the bottom of the barrel for no reason. But that'll be the big hyper war going on in our state right now, which is the biggest state to the east of the Mississippi. I think it's about the size of England.
Yeah, it's pretty big. There's loads of states like that. They're just fucking massive. That's
not even the ones you'd expect. Like Minnesota is the size of Germany.
Fucking hell. Well, they're all German as well, aren't they? So.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Disgusting.
Well, that was one. That was one of my questions.
How we have two of them.
Anyway, for which part sort of segued nicely. How do we think? Who do we think is allegedly? There's going to be candidates on both sides. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly. But who do you think? Because I know you've done many a Substack article on this. But who's your front runners for Democrat and Republican? Who do you think? And who would you like to see? And obviously, on both sides. Obviously, I'm not sure you'll be too keen on another Republican, even though it will be Donald Trump. I am quite sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't say who I would personally like to see because I'm about to publish an article on that exact question within the next day.
Well, there you go.
Stay tuned on that. But I did publish last month. I don't want this to just be all about like that, but so there is, in my mind, there's kind of like two different ways of thinking about like the primary and like the next couple of years. There's the pre-Zorhan period and the post-Zorhan period. It's like AC and like 80 and BC. Like it's a pretty profound shift because prior to Zoran, I didn't say PZ.
No, I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
it was after death.
Sorry.
I'm trying to put Zoran into it.
Yes,
So I'm sorry.
I thought I mispronounced it.
It's not funny.
I thought I mispronounced it.
No, you're great.
Okay.
You're great.
Okay. But prior to Zorhan, I was kind of pessimistic, even though like I saw like, oh, there could be kind of a thermostatic backlash where people become more left wing. There could be kind of a situation like just kind of the pendulum swinging other ways, the Democratic leadership being really ineffectual, people gravitating towards because this wasn't really the case initially at the start of the year. There was like compared to 2017, more people were like were less keen on the party moving to the left because there was so much discourse after the election that Kamala lost because she was too woke, which people were pretty easy. Like that was easy. Yeah, that was easy. It's not true, but it's people were easy. It was easy for people to kind of think of that as the answer because she's a black woman who ran on pretty kind of like left liberal positions 5 years ago. So it wasn't really the best PR for the left. And after the election, Trump was seen as kind of this more legitimate winner than last time. It was seen as kind of this actual like result and not just this thing that happened on the technicality. But over the past number of months, there have been a number of developments in that regard. The first of that is the centrists didn't get rid of their congressional leadership. They kept Schumer in there. They kept Jeffries in there. Both of them very broadly unpopular. Pelosi's still around, even though she's not in leadership. And they've insisted on making these guys like their public-facing figures, and it's basically left them kind of absent from the discourse. The left, meanwhile, is still effectively led by Bernie Sanders, who, even though he is old, is the only like this is kind of a very interesting fact. The only politician in the country right now with a positive favorability rating in either party. There are no Republicans with a positive national favorability rating and no Democrats. It's just Bernie Sanders who has consistently +5, +8, +10 favorables. Obama is also popular.
We got to make him live forever, man.
Yeah, if he was 10 years younger, he'd be an obvious shoo-in.
I think it's very similar to Jeremy Corbyn other than the Jeremy Corbyn's net popularity. I imagine is not quite as very high.
It's like like Bernie's +5, Corbyn's about -50. Yeah.
Wow.
Just 5 years of he's an anti-Semitic Nazi terrorist.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
However bad you think the media environment is here, it's even worse in Britain.
Oh yeah. I wanted to ask you guys about why you might be Turf Island, but that's like completely unrelated.
Well,
I'll try to kind of set the stage.
We'll get to Turf Island. That's a good question because
I have some other questions about like the new party he's founding. But so the big developments that we've seen, basically the left, I think, in comparison to the centrists who were really just trying to make excuses, I found, and I see this like within people that I know who are on the left, like big left-wing kind of figures, people genuinely like wanted to square what we saw in November with like Bernie's success in the past and our own like kind of desire to succeed. And I think that the synthesis that people found was like let's say 6 years ago, social issues moved like very far. People moved very far to the left on social issues. That did happen. The woke shift didn't just come out of nowhere, but those shifts were not permanent. People moved to the left on immigration, they moved to the right on it. People moved to the left maybe on like trans rights, and they moved to the right on it. So these things just kind of go back and forth with who's in power. What is more permanent and what's more salient with people are economic concerns, which is kind of like the message. It's the economy stupid. But that's so it's interesting because Bernie's 2016 run was seen in the immediate aftermath of it as kind of immature and just like undeveloped and not as serious as it could have been because it focused so like specifically on the economy and corruption and campaign finance reform. That's another place where we're very unique. And after that, there was sort of an effort to just press this more broadly radical message. And that kind of diluted the left's appeal, I would argue, in 2020 and afterwards, because that shifts the question from these narrow issues that are perpetually good for your side, very high salience, and towards this broader question of do you want to be radical or more moderate? And that's not necessarily a question where the left is always favored. People are generally kind of iffy about radicalism as such. You're always better off kind of presenting your ideas as common sense, which they are a lot of the times. So we see after Harris loses and the Biden administration is on its way out, that a lot of these politicians, Bernie, AOC specifically, who spent the Biden years kind of in this listless kind of state where they were like working with Biden a lot, giving Biden a lot of positive PR. They were some of the last people standing, supporting Biden, staying in the race when he was about to drop out. They immediately do this total head fake on it. Like Bernie, like the second that the election gets called, Bernie puts out this letter saying, "I was right all along. You guys are corporate shills. We need to have a pro working class party. I might create my own third party. I'm independent of this. I warned you all." This is obviously very disingenuous and a lie, but it makes sense to people. And he starts the anti-oligarchy tours. There's this very specific focus on anti-corruption, populist left-wing economics.
Yeah.
And when in New York around the same time, you have the Zoran Mamdani campaign also doing that same exact approach. This is the first time the DSA is ever really running a serious candidacy in a race of the scale of the city of New York mayoralty. New York, to keep in mind, is if it was a state, it'd be the 10th largest state in the country. People kind of write it off as this is just one city, but this is effectively a sample size of a governor's race in Georgia or North Carolina.
Absolutely, yeah.
This is
how many people is New York City?
8 million people.
8 million people.
It's exceptionally large. So
that's what it's London, isn't it? So it's
yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
London's mayor, of course, is as Tom will tell you, is the Islamic Caliphate.
That's what we're building in New York City. Apparently,
he's Timu Zorhan, City Khan, but so there's this kind of intangible response to this, where you see Bernie and AOC getting presidential level rallies, whether they're doing this tour across the country, including in areas that aren't necessarily left-wing strongholds. There are rallies in Denver or Los Angeles, but he's also getting large rallies in Sacramento or in Louisiana. This isn't just his dedicated base going out for him. And a lot of the people in these crowds aren't necessarily hardline Bernie fans. A lot of them are just kind of mainstream liberals looking for a leader and a sense of where do we go forward. That was literally the tagline of the whole rallies. It was where we go from here. And Zorhan is going up in the polls at this time. He's at the end of the race, he's looking kind of competitive. One poll shows him ahead, others show him down by a lot. It looks like it's going to be a close race. And then, as we all know, he wins by this huge margin. And he does this by doing things that left-wing candidates before AOC and Bernie included have never done at any level. He actually totally changes the electorate with this massive youth turnout surge. This is something everybody promises they can do and nobody ever does until he does it. He makes these unprecedented inroads in working class non-white areas that totally shatter the expectations of what people had coming in. There's this, the idea was, and I believe this because it was how every left-wing primary campaign had ever gone, was that he would only have a base of support among white gentrifiers, from in these more wealthy, professional, younger areas, and he would win off of that because that's what always happened. That's how AOC won. That's how Cory Bush won in St. Louis. That's how all of these candidates ever have won. That's the playbook, and he does incredibly well in those areas, as everybody expects. He gets nearly 90% in Ridgewood and Brooklyn. Miranda's from Rue is from New York, so she knows what that means. But he's also winning these working class.
Ridgewood is Queens and Brooklyn is where it meets. Sorry,
Kevin James territory.
Yeah, but he's winning the millennial burger joints by nearly 100% of the vote, the We Are Young places. But he's also winning Flushing in Queens, this Chinese areas that are full of people who run their own small businesses. He's winning Corona also in Queens, which was a very Latino working class town that voted AOC Trump in 2024.
Interesting.
He's winning these Bangladeshi areas in the Bronx. And part of this might be because of his background, especially with Muslim and South Asian voters. But these are numbers across the board that we've never seen a left-wing candidate achieve. And it totally changes I had always been of the belief that the left-wing kind of economics first, raise the salience of your best issue populism was Bernie vulgar Bernie style of campaigning was the way to go. I thought maybe it could work here. I didn't expect it to work the degree that it did and the way that it did. And that puts us in kind of an interesting position because this wasn't just some nebulously left-aligned figure doing this. This wasn't a celebrity coming in and saying some slogans and with a pre-existing profile and getting excitement off of that. this is a DSA cadre. This is somebody whose entire political career started and is formed by their involvement in the modern institutional like left. This is somebody like AOC. So after the election, I was considering maybe we have to rip up the whole playbook. Maybe we have to run a union leader. Maybe we should run Angelina Jolie or Mark Ruffalo or something. Like I was really like in
You're really on
desperation
that
mode.
for like a week.
Yeah,
The Angelina Jolie.
The Angelina Jolie thing, I think I could still make an argument for that
Said
one.
with trauma in your voice there.
Yeah.
But, not the Jolie for president thing.
Oh
John
my
Voight
God.
is it? John Voight is vice president. Just balance the ticket.
Yeah, exactly. That'll heal the country. The first father, John Voight. But that kind of orients me personally. I don't want to spoil my own article too much into the idea of looking at someone like AOC, who I'd previously been very skeptical of and never really high on. Like when I wrote my last presidential tier list, I was so kind of unenamored with her political instincts that I had her below a number of centrist Democrats who I knew had very good electoral records. I just didn't have the sense that she was somebody worth taking a major risk on. And now with this, like Zorhan being able to transform the electorate in this way, granted it was in a primary, we'll see if it can translate to a general election.
Yeah.
There are still some question marks in that department. It makes you totally reconsider what is really possible in this context. And like maybe somebody like Andy Bashir or Josh Shapiro have won elections in purple or red states, and they have this past precedent. But could somebody like that totally change the electorate in a way that Trump did when he won, or in a way that Zorhan did in his primary? I don't necessarily know that. So
I was very disappointed when I saw that Zoran was born in Uganda.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds racist out of context. Because obviously he can't, because of the rules, he can't run for president then. So yeah. But I was thinking, all right. It was like when I started hearing about him. All right, Mayor of New York, that's an easy presidential running for you. Oh, Uganda, fuck's sake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's disappointing, but I think that like that definitely puts anybody who wants to take the lane that he did, it puts them in a good position. I had AOC at the top of my power rankings for the first time when I published them last month. I would stand by that just because of how uniquely capable she is of monopolizing such a big and coherent and untapped side of politics. I think that beyond that, we're more likely to, if the party does go in a direction that's not necessarily that radical, I think people will want to default to younger moderates, more like our mainstream liberals with records of winning in competitive states. That'll be someone like Ossoff or someone like Josh Shapiro. And beyond that, I'm not really too high on anybody else. I think there's a big gap between my personal top three, like AOC or Shapiro or Ossoff, and really anybody else. I'm not sure if there's much of a middle ground.
Do you think? I think Josh Shapiro, by the way, not Ben Shapiro. Do you think? I think he might be just sort of done in by virtue of being,
the murder shit
statements of Israel.
Oh yeah, that'll be really difficult for him, and I don't know if he can really navigate that. I don't know if he has the wherewithal to even do that because he's so like just part of this Zionist world. It's so integral to the way he views the world. There could maybe be like kind of like he can make some big statement like I'm a Zionist, but I think what they're doing is wrong and I'm going to do a big shift, and he'll just like kind of talk like Obama on it. But I don't even know if like he like really has like the guts to do anything more than just praise it, like saying, "Oh, Netanyahu's bad." And at this point, I don't even know if that really cuts it for liberals. People have become very radical on it very quickly.
Yeah,
it's also a huge understatement.
Yeah,
it's not going to wow anyone, is it?
No, especially not among young voters who are really the most interesting demographic. And I don't just say that because I'm one of them or we're one of them, but there are a lot of like at the same time all of this has been happening, Trump's approval rating has gone down significantly with young voters and Hispanic voters. He's declined among those two groups, which he saw the biggest gains with in 2024 more than any other demographic. And you could say, oh, he had more room to fall. But like it's still that he's failing to live up to a lot of these promises. And I think a lot of these groups that people expected to be part of this permanent right-wing cultural majority were a lot more mercenary than people really thought they would be. They were really voting for Trump for very specific things that they wanted. They wanted like wars ended. They wanted lower prices, and neither of those things are happening. And there's a direct backlash to that happening right now. And if you want to win those people over, somebody who can kind of speak that language, maybe somebody more on the left, as we evidently saw Zorhan do. He's currently pulling at 85% with young men in New York, which is, I don't know exactly what the baseline for that for a regular Democrat is, but I imagine it's above that even for New York City.
Well, because it's not to disparage men of 5 years younger than me.
Yeah, exactly.
But there is a definite line, and I don't know where it is. Because Tom, as I like to remind him, often is older than me, despite the fact I look 10 years older. But like, there's definitely a line somewhere, and I don't quite know where it is. But there's like a TikTok generation line where, because when I was at school, the popular thing was to be left wing. Now the popular thing is to be a fascist.
Yeah.
So I don't quite know where that line is. So to be like 85% among young men is pretty amazing, really.
Yeah, it is, especially for and that was just one poll
for a Muslim fella as well.
Yeah, the fact the one that's like an anecdote I like for that to show how wide his coalition is that when he posted a picture of himself at the Pride Parade and holding up a trans flag, there were a lot of people, like young Muslim like guys who are like kind of like religious and fundamentalist, and they were like legitimately betrayed by this. They felt like, oh my, like I thought you were a Muslim. I didn't know you supported LGBT rights. How could this be? I know you're trying to get votes, but this isn't right. So he's created this. He's cast a very wide net in a way no other Democrat really has. Just the fact that he was in a position where people felt betrayed by the fact that he was pro-trans, like I think is remarkable.
Yeah.
Well, there's I think that's a good way. As we've just the last word you said there was trans, Josh. I think that's a good way to. What was the Turf Island question? Really?
Yeah, Rue's Turf Island question.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like culturally, what is up with the UK just seeming to be so? Because sort of semi recently, I've been so obviously our Department of Health and Human Services, which is not like NHS. It doesn't provide like direct medical. It doesn't provide direct medical care. It's more of it's like a bureaucratic agency. Although NHS is bureaucratic as well. I guess you could kind of say they're similar. But anyway, our HHS is now headed by RFK Jr., who's total quack.
Yeah.
Started out as like a liberal,
like
river
environmentalist.
I'm trying to think of the UK equivalent of that. It'd be like if like David Icke was in charge of like if he was like the health secretary or something.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd be very surprised if either of you have heard of the footballer Matt Letizia. But he was he was basically a presenter of the most famous football show, or well, other than Match of the Day.
Anytime, yeah.
Yeah, like the most famous football show in the country, and he was like, he's got onto just like the best, most insane conspiracies. So like, and he was into like.
It started with the vaccine, didn't it?
Started with the vaccine,
no.
And then there was a guy like there's another, and then he ended up on this guy's podcast, and there's a great bit of it in his face where he realizes the mistake that he's made, that he's gone from like corporate media, and some guy's telling him about Johan Cruyff, who's a footballer who died about 5 years previously, isn't really dead, even though he was like 70 and had cancer for 20 years. Oh yeah,
he lost his job over his views as well, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was good. I'll have to send you some Matt Letizia stuff because it's fantastic.
He's a great watch, to be fair, if you're just into just absolute lunacy.
Yeah, I'm intrigued now. Yeah, I guess the theme of this part of the conversation is just psychotic people.
Yeah.
From cult hero footballer to like pundit to like in conspiracy theorist. It's quite a pipeline, to be fair.
But there's something about Southampton Football Club as well, because the most racist MP, even more so than Farage or any of them, is Rupert Lowe, who used to be the chairman.
He started his own party, right?
Yeah, oh, there's a few of them now. Like it's like
Ricky Lambert.
Ricky Lambert as well. Ricky Lambert, who said you can talk to glasses of water to make them feel better. Normal.
Facts.
You must have done extra heading practice at that club. I don't know.
Yeah. But like Rupert, like you're saying, just the Rupert Lowe part is Restore Britain or something. Which like,
Oh God.
it's not even. It's not even got two different fucking letters. The same start of the thing. Reform, shit.
Yeah.
But Tommy Robinson has also started his own political party as well.
Yep.
God.
Yeah, because so, but it's like it shows how stupid these people are. All you have to do is temper the racism a little bit for like 3 years, and you will win the next election. But they're just
probably by a
stupid.
lot because they're polling really far ahead of everybody.
Well, Tories are dead as well, so like the only way, like, oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. He wanted to ask
I
about the
had a
Tories
question
too.
about
We're
that.
all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh,
do you
sorry,
think do you think there will ever be another British government led by the Tories ever again?
No, that's a great advert.
It's very unlikely. It's possible if they really sorted their act out, but I think they've done too much damage.
I think like it's possible in the same way that like there's a great advert for us, Josh. Episode 1 of All Right Idiots, where we talk. Oh no, it's episode whatever. Anyway, not episode
3
1.
or 4.
It's like episode 7.
It's 5 actually.
Oh, yeah, something like that. A Tory extinction. If you just look through, you'll find it. So yeah, we talk about that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we talk about how Badenoch is just a non-entity of a woman.
Yeah, she's like the British DeSantis, right?
Yeah, but she's also it's like campaigning on essentially race science, and she's a black woman who moved to here from Nigeria when she was 16. So it's like it's just sort of like it comes at different levels of inauthentic.
Yeah, I mean, you can take the rights for idiots to a certain extent, but that's just a bridge too far, isn't it? That, doing race science as an African immigrant.
Yeah. But the Tories, the only way I think like
I have a theory for the Tories.
What's your theory?
Go on.
They would have a slight chance of getting back into power if the leadership race was won by Mr. Bobby Jenrick.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I think as much as a fool as he is, I reckon he's got that kind of like triple C charisma about him that he would win, and he's just like a textbook, just a middle-aged, well, nearly middle-aged, like white guy. It'd be perfect.
He's most famous. You may have seen him. Most famous for stopping people on the tube and asking if they've paid.
He's just pure culture war fodder. Yeah. That's all he is, and they'd lap it up, but he's just.
But I think I have a theory that because I think he goes to reform anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Was he right wing? Was he like far right?
Oh, but he's like so. There's like the difference. It's sort of more of a cultural thing. The difference between Tories and reform. Even though Nigel Farage is a private schoolboy from the exact. It used to be an investment banker. They're from the exact same ilk of them, and so is Richard Tice, who's the other one. Lee Anderson probably isn't. Lee Anderson is good old like a minor scum, but
Henrik is like if you might not get the reference. If Alan Partridge was a politician, that is pretty much Robert Jenrick.
They didn't have any. I remember I saw like some video on YouTube that said that if the Tories only got like 10 seats, they could have become like more moderate because the only people left would have been like the CIA agents who were part of it, who were like H.W. Bush types who were like more middle of the road. I think that could be kind of interesting if they went down that road. Like, I mean, I don't like want to say they need to move more towards the left to win, but like if they like became like kind of like a centrist one nation sort of situation, like that could be kind of interesting.
I think it's just they've just destroyed their own base as well, because it's like even the posh people that would have voted for them until the end of time.
They're Dem now.
Yeah, well, it's because of Lib Dems.
Oh, they're Lib Dem. Oh, that's interesting.
So like in the south, in the south,
posh racists have gone to reform, and just like the moderate posh has gone to the Lib Dems.
Yeah.
So working class racists, which is most of the country, will go to reform, and then so like the difference being, I think it's definitely a Tory. There's always that was why when they won in 2019 was like such a big, like a bit like they talked about the red wall thing, which is like the north where Well, it's like because it was like culturally since Thatcher was like against very anti sort of so like people who will vote Reform in the next election from like working class towns in the north will hate Thatcher with every fibre of their being, but vote for the exact same thing. So
Yeah.
Fascinating.
And they effectively did that with Boris. They took out Dennis Skinner.
Conservatives are so stupid.
They took out the GOAT. They took out the
It's the
ultimate
basis of
club
this whole
shitto.
podcast.
Yeah.
They took out the greatest of the greatest club shitto of all time, Dennis Skinner. That made me so sad.
Oh, the beast of Bolsovia.
Yes.
He's
so cool. He's still alive. I wonder how he's doing.
I think he's still alive, Dennis Skinner. He's like 94. I think he was 91 when he got.
Did he die recently?
Yeah. Did he die
What?
recently?
He died?
I don't know. I might have made that up.
No. My beautiful boy. My beautiful
I don't think he's
90-year-old
dead,
boy.
Josh. I don't think so. I know Pepe Mujica died recently, and I only found that out recently. My
he's still alive.
Hero.
I don't know. The Conservatives might be trying to become so irrelevant that people forget about all their wrongdoings of the past 15 years, and then
I think the only way back,
yeah, and then they come back. Yeah,
the only way back for them is like Liberal Democrats, where they get hit the height in the 70s, and then have like Cyril Smith, who was their leader for a long time, who was best mates with Jimmy Savile. And so they need to sort of go away for 50 years, then come back. But then the Lib Dems fuck themselves with our generation because they in 2010 campaigned campaigned
just
laid down on abolishing.
So sad because the Lib Dems are so vision to me. They're the ultimate. I see the vision for them winning so clearly, but the fucking Clegg stuff ruins it. So they're just stuck at 12% perpetually.
I mean, what do you guys think of like the new party? Like the
party.
or whatever.
That's a good question. What do you think they should name your party?
Oh, go on, Tom. I
don't really know what they should name it, but I'm probably in a different camp to Fionn, because I really like Zach Polanski from the Greens. So I just, in a way, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it kind of feels like you're fragmenting the votes between the left a bit, but it's tough because I really like the Greens. I like Zach Polanski, but obviously I would always vote for a party with Jeremy Corbyn. But it's
I think where you are,
they need to come together.
Jeremy Corbyn is never going to win your seat, is it? Because you'd be much more.
No, he's not. The smear campaign was too. But if they all just group together, it's like the way that the right, if they all group together, they'd walk in. Maybe it's the same for the left.
Yeah, I think if you combine the Green, the best poll for your party had them and the Greens combined for 25%. Yeah. Which, if you put that together, it wouldn't be too far off from first place.
I think as well, because of I think you sound a bit alien explaining this to Americans, but the class system is so different, so ingrained. The Greens wouldn't So I'm from Manchester, which is further north than as you know.
Yeah,
Oasis, all that. Still, I couldn't get you anything with Heaton Park on it, but the shop's still open. I will find something.
Thank you.
What's it? So up here, the group in maybe not in Manchester, but in further into shit towns, the Green Party will have no chance because it's just vegetarian, just immediately dismissed.
I do remember they won 2 pretty rural seats last year, which really interested me. They won 2 kind of I don't know if it's necessarily rural. They won 2 larger kind of constituencies that used to be Tory, I think, in the south of England.
I'm pulling up the map. Sorry.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's that. Yeah.
I think the
way renewable energy areas. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Wow.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And
I think I'm probably the only kind of tradesman in the UK.
Yeah, you're the token working class
in the last election
voter.
Just the one.
You're who they have all that rhetoric for. You're the one guy. It all has worked out with you.
There's for me, I think
that was more of I'd never vote for Keir Starmer. That was all that was.
But I wasn't stupid enough to do it last time. So
even though a good friend of mine's brother is a MP for Labour in my constituency, I can't vote for you
that's
guys.
crazy.
So.
I think Corbyn's party will do well, but I do think they've got like Jeremy Corbyn, who's the most vilified man in the country, and a Muslim woman. So I don't think it's gonna like the.
I don't know. Rashida Tlaib did pretty well around Detroit. Like, you never know.
You're underestimating British racism there, Josh.
We're the 9/11 country. We elected George W. Bush twice.
Yeah. That's a good point. I forgot. Never forget.
Yeah, exactly. You had one job.
Our racism's a bit more complicated.
Yeah.
It doesn't make as much sense.
Your xenophobia is pretty crazy.
Whereas you guys, it's just kind of like Ron Seal racism. another thing you wouldn't get.
You have to explain that 50 years of Ron Seal advertising campaigns there, Tom. It's basically an advert.
That's what it says on the tin.
It's paint, and the slogan is "does what." Yeah. Anyway, I'll get back to.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, go on. I don't know what I'm saying.
I was gonna say we've gone like so far off my original question, but it's great because it's all. I think we've kind of answered the question in that generally sort of culture wars have been globally, not just the UK. I was just curious, like, what is your kind of read on why the UK has produced a lot of like turf science and has a lot of just kind of generally like
transphobic stuff.
Yeah, transphobic.
Center left.
Comedians.
Yeah.
Comedians.
Comedians.
You
think comedians are the...
It's online comedians, not proper stand-up comedians, because they generally, not always, but they generally tend to have quite sound politics. But a lot of these like content creators, it's just an easy laugh, and where they lack talent to actually make anything thought-provoking, they're just like, oh, bash trans.
Yeah,
it's been a big culture war thing again, though, isn't it? Where like it's sort of the made up blue hair trans person that has no power is suddenly, It's a very comedian, like it's a very sort of Joe Rogan thing that Tom as a comedian is much better placed to answer than me. So there you go. Go on, Tom.
I suppose it's always been just an easy target, isn't it? Because I mean, I suppose the basis for a joke is you take two things and extrapolate parts of them and then try and combine it and make something funny of that. And I suppose, obviously, if you have like someone who's transitioned, then you can draw parallels from when they were a woman and a man, or just male and female in general, and make cheap gags about it. I don't know really, but yeah. Why are we? I would have thought America was kind of more turfy than us, but I don't know. That's just maybe me.
It's been mixed. It's been kind of strange. The issue is very low salience. So there is a long history when Democrats are in, like you can kind of track, like just like as a way of showing like kind of like how both like difficult this is to kind of analyze and how hacky the coverage is. The success of anti-trans politics really only correlates to the success of like the Democrats or Republicans in any given year. Republicans ran very, very anti-trans oriented campaigns in the 2022 midterms, and they did broadly very poorly in those races because the candidates in those races were weighed down by other issues that didn't favor them, and they were bad in other ways. But then the Trump campaign does the same thing in 2024, and they're more favored. They're facing like a very unpopular Biden administration instead of popular local governor or senator, and they win their race, and then it's all credited to the trans stuff, and everybody's terrified of it. It's consistently the lowest ranked issue on like people's, like when they ask like what's the biggest issue for you, transgender stuff is always dead last by like a significant margin.
But it is such a non-issue.
Yeah, people don't care about it one way or the other. Yeah,
it's definitely low salience, but I mean, transphobia is extremely prominent in this country. I mean, we even saw Kamala Harris, our Democratic nominee, be willing to throw trans folks under the bus. The reason I kind of like zoned in on the UK, and I think that unfortunately and sadly, the US will probably start producing our own science that is anti-trans
because the bill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm reading this HHS's new sort of comprehensive review. I'm putting it in quotes because it's just a propaganda piece on gender affirming care, which essentially advocates for conversion therapy, modern conversion therapy, which is just horrible. And the real basis for that document, at least the 200 out of 400 pages I've read, is the Cass Review, which is a very well-known anti-trans study from the UK. And then obviously you have J.K. Rowling, who is vehemently anti-trans. So I was just kind of curious, culturally, what is up with that? But it exists everywhere.
I think it could be a couple things. I think it could be like you mentioned about the sort of in terms of gender reassignment surgery, because our healthcare is a national service and our taxes contribute towards it. Maybe people get their sort of nose out of shape about that because they're like,
I've never
part
really
of my
heard
taxes are going towards it, and then it could be a thing of visibility. Because like I said to Fionn on another episode once, a lot of these transphobes have probably never met on a personal level a trans person.
Yeah.
So it's maybe, I don't know, you're a larger country, more people, maybe they're more visible, and because all it takes is for you to meet a trans. I mean, person who did these tattoos, they're trans, non-binary, and couldn't be more normal.
Yeah.
So it's maybe it's just a visibility thing.
Yeah.
I and as well, this is the thing as well. It's I don't know, when I've suggested to friends to go into Manchester's famous gay village. That's I don't know. I can't remember the name. The gay village, because it's the only place open. It's open till 6 a.m. for a night out, which is fantastic. So, yeah, thank you to the gays for that. But I've said some people have been people who are otherwise quite normal politically will go oh, don't know about that. It's have you ever been chatted up by a 6'9" drag queen? I have. It's very very self-affirming. Just enjoy it.
Yeah. I have my own theory for this, and it's maybe a little wonky, but a big difference between the US and Europe at large. Europe is a place where there is also kind of broadly more anti-trans stuff, or it's compared to a couple of years ago, it's more enmeshed. Or because the center left parties aren't as, I wouldn't say the Democrats are good on it, but they're maybe not quite as bad as Labor, let's say. They do give lip service to it, and the polling isn't as bad in the same way. I think that the U.S. is a lot more religious than any other Western country, which usually politically is very bad because it allows for Christian fundamentalism to be a major political force. But it also means that culturally, the concept of the soul is something that people take very seriously, believe in, and understand. So when somebody says, my soul was born in the wrong body, people in the U.S.
You're spitting. That's crazy.
People in the
you guys are wow.
People in the U.S. who understand the self as this kind of metaphysical thing separate from the body, it kind of tracks with our understanding of the consciousness more than maybe a European person who grows up in a more secular scientific environment where their understanding of gender is with the chromosomes or the scientific sex characteristics. And the idea
that's a big transphobic thing about chromosomes, definitely.
So that basic kind of articulation of the transgender experience, I feel like I was born in a different body than I actually am as a person. That maybe is understood more coherently and intrinsically in the U.S. because of how we understand the self than maybe it is in Europe.
I think that is a really interesting thesis.
Yeah, that's very insightful.
That's fascinating. I would actually argue the opposite. In that, as much as I think that's an excellent point, I do think that the rise of Christian nationalism, Donald Trump and JD Vance are essentially puppets for Christian nationalists who are taking over our government. And at least from reading this like comprehensive review, and obviously, you know, when reading this comprehensive review, I'm gonna be having some actual transgender folks like review my review of it and provide their input. But I find that like sort of a kind of common through line is this sort of moral panic. Specifically of female to male transitioners.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's always nobody ever cares about the other way, do they?
Yeah, which is quite odd, and I don't know if that's like 100% true. This is just kind of anecdotal from reading it and just kind of the culture wars of Twitter. But it seems to be this sort of desire, once again, going back to controlling women's bodies and ensuring that us ladies are baby making machines, and so there's this kind of moral panic
Handmaid's Tale stuff, man.
Literally. So that's why I think that's one of the variables as to why I think this, and obviously, you know, Donald Trump was reelected and you know, was able to you know, put RFK Jr., a complete psycho, at the head of HHS, such that, you know, these kind of propaganda documents can be published. But I'm just kind of, I don't know.
I think as well, like, you know, when I think you briefly said it before, Josh, about like your man, fucking, what's he called, Christopher Rufo, that guy. I know. Because I think because they were so hard. And it's happening, like that's definitely I think there's definitely a danger where Reform could not win the next election is because the messaging. I think there's much more, because I think the UK is a lot older population as well, so sort of all the Twitter, all the social media stuff doesn't really matter as much for them. But because the reason, obviously, when it was supposed to be the red wave, when it was Christopher Rufo's politics style of let's just harp on endlessly about kids' genitalia, essentially. She's like, okay. So like most normal people go, why the fuck are you talking about this all the time? You're a weirdo.
That works for better or for worse, because it makes it more difficult for affirmatively pro-trans politics to get traction the same way. Like for people aren't going to be voting out their governor over this issue in a blue state, but they also aren't going to be voting out their red state governor because they've gone too far to the right on this issue.
Do you think Andy Bashir is a good example of someone who
Kentucky guy?
Well, because
I told you politics autism. Wasn't joking.
You guys know a lot.
There's a tweet of yours I remember, Josh, from a few weeks ago, and it made me smile because there's of secular talk, Kyle getting big numbers again. I think he was the first YouTubesman that I ever clocked onto, and he's still going, and he's always been sound. Although he was the reason. He was probably quite I'm not like that anymore, but I was when I was like 16 in college, sixth form. Not the kind of college you go to, the shit one. But yeah, he was a reason I was like a hardcore Ricky Gervais atheist for a bit.
Oh no, that's what I like about secular talk, is that he's one of those people who like was in the atheist world and he didn't like abandon his principles and go right.
Sam Harris is the world.
That and him and Dark Matter, like 455 or something, like are the ones who have stayed true to their principles. And I don't know who that early atheist was a huge part of young Josh's intellectual development. It was like the first political issue I ever really like grabbed onto as a kid. So it's always meant a lot. Yeah, it was. It's always meant a lot to me because of that. So I've always been happy that he never went to the dark side. But
I'm even willing to excuse his hair now. Because he's a good guy, old Kyle. But my point about the reform thing of why they might not win was like the weirdo stuff that Rufo was doing. Because if you see any basically any sort, if you just look at a Keir Starmer tweet and then look at the replies, there will be
everybody
at least.
Hates him. He always tries to appeal to them, and they don't like it. He gets ratioed all the time. He's like, we're going to stop immigration. We've heard you. We're going to be good boys now. And they're like, fuck you. Fucking you suck.
Our good friend.
In the next breath, we'll always mention something about raping women and children, like 14 words kind of stuff. And it's like, I think if they carry on with that too much, I think if that permeates any kind of mainstream, they might fucking lose a lot of people that way. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about this all the time for? But because there's definitely more of an element of like, you just don't talk about that.
Either that or the whole electorate turn into Nazis. So.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
which I think is more likely.
Yeah. My hope is that the right just implodes on itself. They just get lost in the sauce and it all just goes to shit.
Like Rupert Lowe and what's he called? Tommy Robinson's new parties. Just there's so many options that they all fall apart. But I think it's only a very online kind of people that are going to be
in people's front kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, it's all the same thing. Yeah. But what I was going to ask you both as well, to go back to American politics. But this is great. We only get about three parts out of this. We can do. I'm just thinking now. Going to be annoying you for weeks with. Please share this. Anyway, tragic death of Ghislaine Maxwell next week.
Incoming.
Do you see any sort of? Do you see that imploding the right at all? Because obviously,
you started it.
Well, yeah. But does it reach a critical mass at any point? Does it get any bigger than Charlie Kirk going? Oh well, it's all right, you know.
Yeah. Well,
fucker.
You mind if I?
It's just a shield, isn't it? You'd say that about anything.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk, I sort of admire him in a way. Just how little, right. Just say whatever.
What a fucking idiot he is.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My kind of view it is true. Trump's approval, like everybody talking. Oh, he had an amazing week in early July. He bombed Iran and he got his bill passed. He was so very successful. But Trump's approval after that, so like the kind of like timeline for it is that he started off with like +5 approval or so. He was in the mid-high single digits, honeymoon period. People were willing to give him benefit of the doubt. He does really radical stuff early on, the J6 pardons, all that stuff just coming in very strong, and it starts slipping a little bit as people kind of repolarize, and it takes a while for him to take a kind of break even. It's only after and then it starts the Ukraine summit. I think when he berates Zelensky is when he starts actually slipping into the consistent negatives, and then Liberation Day, things really start going down fast. People his approval on inflation hits really bad numbers. The economy, people are really souring him. Foreign policy, people are disgusted over this meeting. So there's a sense because he had such an active early start that he's the guy in charge. This isn't we need to give him more time or whatever. The buck stops here, and people feel like he's not prioritizing what needs to be prioritized. So Liberation Day comes, the market tanks, people think this is a fucking disaster. He goes down to -10, and this is really, really fast for a president to go that low.
Yeah, he's at Bush. He's at Bush Junior numbers already, isn't he?
Yeah, some polling or show with him with independents is getting in that territory, late Bush. So he backs off on a lot of the tariffs, the markets rebound, the news is a bit slower, and he kind of floats back up to -5. There's the Garcia case, and that hits his immigration numbers. So he goes negative on immigration for the first time. Now he's negative on every issue, but then Democrats stop talking about immigration, floats back up to positive. Everybody's still nebulously negative on everything else. And that leads us into July, when the stuff...
Very good name for a metal band, by the way. Nebulously negative. Just get that.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's -5, and then the stuff in July happens, and over this period, like I said earlier, I cannot say, throughout all these declines, the biggest losses are disproportionately with young voters and Latinos. These are the two groups that he made his biggest gains with. They win him the election. They're low propensity, low engagement voters, only turn out for presidential races, didn't vote down ballot or voted Democratic down ballot. If he didn't win these voters, he loses the election, because among the voters who vote all the time, the voters who you traditionally need to win a presidential election, if you had the type of turnouts you saw in 2012 or even 2016, he would have lost. He didn't do the job of a traditional presidential campaign and winning over the older voters, the white suburbanites. Those people like stayed pat from 2020, or they swung slightly against him. There are a number of counties in Atlanta that actually shifted left because of how poorly he did with this demographic. So his coalition needs these people to even just win a bare majority in the Electoral College, much less actually win a durable political coalition that can stand the test of time and win large majorities. And they're slipping away from him rapidly at this point. And with the Zorhan race, maybe considering different alternatives. And so it's in this context, after he does Israel, he does Iran, he bombs Iran, he starts this war, he passes the least popular bill in the history of polling and the big, beautiful bill. It's in this moment that the Epstein stuff comes up. And this is maybe like a larger situation. It's a huge conspiracy. It's a very high, particularly heinous case. But I see the reaction to it as more of a delayed kind of cultural response to this 6 months of disillusionment with Trump that is being articulated in a way that like kind of expresses people's sense of betrayal and anger at his administration, like in a way that's easy for them to understand and fits with this idea of him being an elite political figure now who only cares about himself and is doing the same skeevy shit that Bill Clinton did and is pursuing the same policies on account of that standing in the political world. You're seeing, like, there were some moments that really fascinated me where people directly connected it to the Iran stuff, where they said Trump is a blackmailed pedophile and that's why we have to go fight in the Middle East. They're literally seeing him as part of the same system as a Hillary Clinton on account. And this, I don't know if necessarily would be the case if people felt like he was delivering. So I think that I don't think it's separate from what's been happening over the past 6 months that has hurt his approval rating so much. I think it's a unique articulation of that kind of disillusionment.
Yeah, I think there's a great, I think it's Adam Curtis, if you've ever seen any of his stuff. And a bit.
I love Adam Curtis.
There you go. Good. Yeah, I knew you were a Curtis man. I knew you would be. But like, I think like his explanation of QAnon, I think it's like the best one I've heard. Where it's like 2.5 years in, it's this sort of abstract reaction for an example, for explanation as to why nothing's happening, as to why all the Trump voters is like, all their lives aren't getting any better.
You want like the ultimate anecdote. The first QAnon post was past date only a few days after the Obamacare repeal failed.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think it's literally that. It's like they created an entire sci-fi story to explain why he wasn't an effective president. And all of current right-wing thought comes from that story in one way or another. That's why they're ripping up the deep state. They're constantly looking for the people who were preventing him from getting anything done. They can't accept that they actually just nominated and elected a moron.
Yeah.
Because if
I think Doge is a great example of that as well. Like, because it's like this, it's sort of, well, I think that's what Farage has said that he wants to do there as well, where he sort of like rip up sort of, well, every rule that is left in the book, basically. Yeah. And any social safety net. Yeah. Well, I'll find you another question of that. We've got that's Epstein sorted. Then we put that to bed. A couple of ones on Israel and sort of what we're doing now as well, podcasting. Nelk boys, Netanyahu. Deeply, very. It's sort of like if somebody did it in like a Netflix thing, you'd go, "Oh, it's a bit far fetched." But you know, I don't believe it. It's not.
That's all politics is now. It's like if a film was made in 2012, like a comedy film, of just how ridiculous politics could get. It's now playing out.
Idiocracy.
Is there? Like, do you reckon? Like, obviously, we were saying before, like
people wearing Crocs
and a few other sort of centrist Democrat or centrist-ish Democrats sort of breaking with Israel, but now they're in sort of full starvation mode. Do you think it's gonna? Do you think it's gonna change? Do you think that's finally going to be the thing that like breaks that apart?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's difficult and it's very sad to see from a public health perspective. Again, not an expert in starvation. I won't say famine because it's not a famine. It's man-made mass starvation. But at least from, reading experts writing about this and looking at the UN's information on famine, like mass starvation, it reminds me quite a bit of a pandemic, in that there's kind of a sort of threshold point where if you get beyond that point, it's almost too late in a way. And the starvation in Gaza is something that Gazans have been warning about for months. And I mean, North Gaza already has faced mass starvation, and inevitably the rest of Gaza was going to fall into this starvation because of how Israel is actively blocking aid. And I think that what happened, at least from my perspective, and this might not be entirely correct, there's a lot of stuff that we don't really know what is going on behind the scenes, what politicians are talking about, at least from what I've seen. And I think this is a UN initiative where basically there's a 5-point scale of starvation that is monitored for different countries. And as of May of this year, it was found that every major city in Gaza was going to enter stage 5 of starvation, which, the requirements for that is, a doubling of the death rate, a certain percentage of the population that is facing, food insecurity, all of these different qualifications. And that's just outright, widespread starvation. And I think that information was parlayed to our politicians, or there was, I mean, even Bari Weiss's The Free Press published a story about flour prices in one particular city of Gaza, which hasn't really been faced like a ground incursion yet. So those flour prices aren't even like, what you would see in like Khan Yunis, for example, which is just astronomically high. People paying the equivalent of $500. I don't know what that is in the.
About the same, roughly the same. 300 quid, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just astronomical amount of money for flour. And Bari Weiss's The Free Press published, the data on that, saying as of May, these are what the prices are, and that it's untenable, and that of course it's Hamas. It's always Hamas's fault. There's always some way to blame Hamas, but I liken it to a pandemic because it's really kind of past that point, and it's very pathetic to see centrist Democrats now say, when we're past an untenable point where over at least 122 people, which is probably undercounted, have died from starvation.
And that's obviously going to get worse and worse as time goes on. So.
Yeah, exponentially, just like a pandemic. The cases of God, it's horrible. Of starvation deaths. The dog's moving around.
Oh, it's fine. Don't worry. It's be a bit of it's fine. Everyone likes dogs, don't they? So it's fine.
Yeah. It's just going to move exponentially. And I think that they were privy to that information, and that's become, the reason to speak out. Additionally, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. I'm using a lot of air quotes today because
the Gestapo Humanitarian Front.
Yeah, the fucking God, it's run by mercenaries. Even mercenaries have left the foundation because there's just been outright shooting of Palestinians going to receive aid. And so I think the combination of reaching this level of famine, the flour prices, and deaths at GHF, which if anybody was following GHF, it was very predictable that they were going to be horrific and not actually an aid organization. I always thought it was just extremely disturbing to see that a U.S.-Israeli organization was being made specifically to hand out aid when, you know, we have existing organizations, the UN, you know, UNRWA, we have Oxfam, we have, you know.
UNRWA was Hamas at one point as well, didn't they? So.
Yeah, UNRWA's Hamas, Miss Rachel is Hamas.
Oh, we have an episode on that. That was when I read that was sort of a very radicalizing moment for me, even more so than having Che Guevara tattooed on my arm when I was 18. Anyway, reading the New York Times calling Miss Rachel a terrorist sympathizer. Right, okay.
Someone who spent the last couple of years watching Miss Rachel.
Tom's got a child, by the way. That's not weird.
Yeah, I don't just watch it for fun.
It's just for fun.
Yeah, because obviously I knew who Miss Rachel was prior to it happening, and I was just like, seriously, like, it's like the most lovely woman in the world.
Yeah. Oh my God, absolutely. And I mean, I think it really just boils down to, and I feel similarly about the pandemic as someone who very early on was warning about coronavirus is. And obviously these things are not one and one. I'm just comparing my experience is that, and often it's like this with pretty much American made atrocities is that after the fact, when it's too late, everybody's against it. Yes. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
I had the feeling early on during this, I just like, obviously prior to October, so obviously the whole history's there, but not everyone was kind of tuned into it. And since it become at the forefront of the media and all that, all I could think about was I'm going to remember every single person who was for this.
Yeah,
because we'll get revenge on them one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I think as well there's such an element of like Bob Geldof. I don't know if it permeates to America, but sort of Bob Geldof stuff of like feed the children and stuff. Of like, I think it's one thing. I think most people can't compute that, can they? They can't. They can excuse it when it's sort of airstrikes and it's ephemeral a bit more.
Absolutely.
Right. But when it's like starvation, it's like, right. I think you lose. I think you lose everyone but Michael Rappaport at that point, don't you?
Yeah, and that's probably the most essential point. I was very focused on kind of like the data, which might be too rational for these motherfuckers. But like, yeah, it's, with airstrikes, you can write it off and say, oh, well, we targeted a hospital because Hamas is in tunnels underneath. But with starvation of children, I mean, it gets to a point where you can't, which to me, it's like, okay, but we've since after October 7th, we've been seeing like young children, like amputees, and that, it's just,
and it's one of them things as well. I think it's becoming more and more people coming, on the hating Israel side of things. Obviously, there's an element of anti-Semitism stuff, obviously, from like the right when it's the right wingers doing it. But I think just generally normal people are just so fucking, because even if you're not politically attuned or whatever at all, if you constantly seeing fucking every third thing you see on social media is some kid getting blown up.
The starvation stuff's been, even the most right-wing tabloid papers in the UK are now posting the image of that child, and like the Daily Mail and like the Express and stuff like that are posting that, saying this can't go on. And when it gets to that point, you think, well, if they're there,
if you've lost the Murdoch press,
yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys have any more questions? Because I just got an email from the brokerage person.
Well, I'll be very quick to see if I do. But I think we've done. That was it. Very last one. With Nelk boys, Netanyahu. We'll be quick. Not going to cost you the house. I promise you. Theo Von, Joe Rogan, Nelk boys, all this sort of thing. Is that the Andrew Schultz as well? He's a criminal. Is that the future of sort of content? Is that the future of anything? Or do you think there's like a do we get a Nuremberg where we get to get rid of them all?
Inshallah, but
I don't know. We'll see. Trends always come and go.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I think so. I think that and it's ironic because I've been saying throughout this, like making statements about things that I'm not an expert in. But that's
the entire premise of this podcast, Rick.
Oh, you guys know a lot about politics. Honestly, I think
I'm clipping that and framing that.
Like I think we need a fucking civics test before you can be a political influencer.
I was going to say before you can vote, but that's that.
Yeah, and that too. And that too. Yeah, it's disturbing.
Well, thank you very much, guys. We won't keep you too much longer as you've got a house to buy. So for everyone to find you on the internet, where are you? Ettingermentum.
It's Ettingermentum. And twitch.tv/McGuire for
I wasn't going to forget that. So what days do you broadcast, Rue, or is it not? Is it there are set days? Good.
Yeah, we do Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
There we go. And so it's a convenient time for UK because it's early. So you can put it on in the pub, everything.
Yeah.
Friday night. Yeah. Well, thank you guys very much. It's been I don't like saying guys, but
yes, thank you guys.
You're American, so it's all right. I don't feel as I couldn't say that.
Yourself.
Yeah. But you can find Tom. You do the spiel for us. You know.
You can find us on every single social media platform now at All Right Idiots.
Because
you was actually the one that changed it to everything the other day, and made the point about getting the end card made. But yeah, we're on everything at All Right Idiots. Patreon.com/All Right Idiots. Once again, thank you to our guests. It's been a wicked podcast.
Gosh, what a pair of heroes.
And yeah, good luck with everything, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Good luck with the house. See you later.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.